When did you last make yourself smaller than you are? Not in a dramatic, obvious way. In the quiet, everyday ways that are so habitual you've stopped noticing them. The opinion you swallowed because the room didn't feel safe enough to hold it. The ambition you downplayed because you didn't want to seem arrogant or naive. The dream you mentioned in a self-deprecating way, half joke, half plea, hoping someone would take it seriously so you didn't have to be the one to defend it. The full version of yourself that you've learned over years to fold up and tuck away in certain company. We all do it. We learn early which rooms welcome all of us and which rooms only tolerate a careful, edited version. And we adapt, because adapting is how we survive socially, professionally, emotionally. The problem comes when adapting becomes the default, when shrinking becomes so automatic that you forget you were ever doing it and start to mistake the smaller version for the real one. Welcome to Motivation Daily. This is March 18th. Today we are talking about the slow erosion of self that happens when you spend too long fitting yourself into spaces that were never built for your full size. Here is how it begins. You enter a new environment, a job, a relationship, a social circle, and you read the room. You figure out what is valued, what is tolerated, what makes people comfortable or uncomfortable, and you adjust. You amplify the parts of yourself that fit, and you dial down the parts that don't. This is not weakness, this is intelligence. It is social fluency. It is how humans have always navigated belonging. But here is where it turns on you. When that environment stops growing, when the ceiling of what is acceptable there becomes lower than your actual ceiling, and you keep adjusting downward to match it, you are no longer being socially intelligent, you are betraying yourself. Slowly, incrementally, in ways that are almost invisible day to day, but become undeniable when you look at a stretch of years and realize you have not fully been yourself in a very long time. Think about the job where you stopped bringing your best ideas because they were never taken seriously. So you brought smaller ideas, and then smaller still, until one day you stopped bringing ideas at all and just showed up and did what was asked and went home, and something in you went quiet that used to be loud. Think about the relationship where your needs were treated as too much, your feelings as too intense, your vision for your life as unrealistic until you started to believe it. Until you learned to preemptively shrink your needs before anyone could tell you they were excessive, until you became someone who apologized for wanting things. Think about the friend group, the family dynamic, the community where a version of you was acceptable and the rest was silently discouraged, and how carefully you learned to perform the acceptable version while the rest went unexpressed and unmet. That is the cost of fitting spaces you have outgrown, and it is a cost that compounds, because every time you make yourself smaller, you send yourself a message. You tell yourself that the full version of you is too much or not enough or somehow wrong. And that message does not stay contained to the space where you learned it. It travels with you. It starts to shape how you show up everywhere, even in the spaces that would have welcomed the full version of you, if only you hadn't already half forgotten who that was. So how do you find your way back? How do you reclaim the parts of yourself you have been quietly setting aside?
It starts with an honest audit. Look at the major environments in your life right now, your work, your relationships, your social world, and ask yourself, where am I fully myself? And where am I performing a smaller version? Not where am I comfortable. Comfort and authenticity are not the same thing. But where am I genuinely, freely, completely myself? And where am I not? The answers to those questions are important information. They tell you where you are living truthfully and where you are living on someone else's terms. They tell you which spaces are worth growing into and which spaces you have simply grown out of. Because here is the truth that is hard to hear but necessary to say. Not every space deserves the full version of you. Not every job, not every relationship, not every room is worth the cost of your authenticity. Some spaces are simply too small. And the kindest, most self-respecting thing you can do for yourself and ultimately for the people in those spaces is to stop pretending they fit. Outgrowing something is not a failure. It is evidence of growth. It is proof that you have become more than you were, and becoming more than you were is the entire point. You are not the same person you were 5 years ago. You should not be fitting the same spaces. You should not be playing by the same rules. You should not be editing yourself according to standards that were set before you became who you are now. So today, I want to give you permission. Not that you need it from me, but in case some part of you has been waiting for it anyway, to take up space, to bring the full version of yourself into the room, to stop apologizing for your ambition, your opinions, your needs, your vision for your life, to stop making yourself comfortable to be around for people who are unsettled by anyone who is genuinely, unapologetically alive. The spaces that are meant for you will expand to hold all of you, and the ones that won't, you already know you've outgrown them. Stop shrinking. Start taking up exactly the space you were meant to occupy. If this one spoke to something real in you, share it with someone who needs to stop shrinking today. Subscribe to Motivation Daily. We show up every day to help you show up fully. Drop a comment and tell me, where in your life have you been making yourself smaller than you are? Name it and start reclaiming it. See you tomorrow. Keep going.